You are now watching Raptor Nation Podcast, a fan-made pod that covers news on your Toronto Raptors and the community.
Most people who meet you at games, they can tell that you're a very confident and strong woman. How do you keep yourself going when challenges arise?
Yes. And so I think it's always like coming back to who you are. Personally, like something that challenged me in the industry was the fact that I was coming in without broadcast experience or typically going to school, for broadcast or media. I have a music theater background and kind of fell into this because I trusted what, life was handing me when it came to the direction I was going. I think it's also staying true to those different things that you bring. Like I'm going to be honest, I had a producer once tell me that I need to kind of take it down a notch because I'm very animated. And then when I did that, I found that my performance actually suffered a bit because I wasn't staying true to who I was. I've been in media rooms across the league in different arenas where, I'm dressed a little bit different than all the other reporters and stuff. And, at first I felt a little bit, okay, maybe I should be changing this. But no, because then my work would suffer and I wouldn't feel like myself. So I really believe it's staying true to who you are, trusting the different things that you bring are what people need to see. And like a lot of just checking in. Like my parents are really good at, reminding us, stay humble, stay kind. And those values have stayed with me through life. And, have things affected me, especially with the social media, and what people say. Yeah, of course they are. But I don't know. I take it more as a challenge. Like, why is this triggering me? And maybe there's a lesson attached to it. And how can I kind of grow from this? But yeah, I also get affected by it. That's fine too. That's life. It helps you. Again, grow. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
But
sometimes my mind starts running, and I'm
no,
like,
it's okay.
I love it. Again? Okay.
No, it's okay. What you said. But most of the time, I feel like when people have something to say about you, it says more about themselves than really about yourself.
You're very wise for 18. I don't think I would have known that at that age. Yeah, I agree with you. It's often something that they need to deal with, not something that, like whether it's insecurities or jealousy, which are all things that we should, be working on personally to get out of our lives. So yeah, just trust yourself, trust the process, and stay in your lane. Yeah. You got this.
But thank you. But something about you that I think really stands out is the fact that you aren't like most reporters, I guess you could say, like not in a great way. I think like you just have so much. You're enthusiastic. You're entertaining. I feel like that's what makes people remember you, and that's why so many Raptors fans like you. It's 'cause
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. It took me a while to kind of agree to stick to who I am. Not who I am, but like those little quirky things. Yeah. And how cool is it? Cool is like being different is cool anyway. Something that I like to continue to share. I do continue to share that because I want people to believe that they can do it too. Like no matter, if you're in that cookie cutter kind of group or the other side. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Like I mentioned, DeMar's awesome because of, he also came on the team when I was I started as a dancer and we kind of grew together, if that makes sense. So I always thought that was kind of cool. Kyle's a huge part of the team. Like Fred, Pascal, everybody's got their little elements and again, I see them or spend more time with them well, when there's a regular season, you see a little bit different side of them, right? Because a lot of the stuff that I do for the team too is, you know, tapping into that more personality side of that of the players, which is always fun. With the show I used to do, Raptors Rundown, and things like that. So yeah, I mean, they're all normal, awesome guys, and I've really loved kind of the players that have come through the organization. Very, very similar kind of, again, values and cultures. So yeah, it's a cool group to work with.
Yeah, I think that's why so many people love the Raptors as well. It's because we're not necessarily like other teams where most of our players are just, they love Toronto, they love Canada. With a few exceptions, but yeah, I love that about the Raptors.
I mean, people always say that, and it's just the truth. Like, you know, sometimes you get into these repetitive like sayings or whatever, but I'm like, no, it's actually like that. Like, they are passionate about the city and the fans, and it's yeah, I just find it's really special. It's also, like I always say, it's Canada's team, but it is Canada's team. We've taken, you know, training camp and other events coast to coast. I mean, I've been out here many times in Vancouver before with the Raptors, and it's just like, it's so cool, the passion from coast to coast. So yeah, it's a special thing we have. Yeah, definitely.
So you've had a lot of experience interviewing players and talking to them, getting to know them. I was wondering if you had any funny stories with a player or any story.
yeah, we've done some pretty quirky stuff on Raptors Rundown. I mean, I've done like a staring contest with OG, because, you know, he's known, well, he's opened up a lot, but he's known to be like a little quiet. Trying to think of, there was this one time in media day. So in media day, it's like a day before the season starts, where all the players come together into one space, usually the OVO Center. And we kind of like prep things to use on social throughout the year. And so there was this one kind of, I don't even remember why we were doing it, but we had a big box of Timbits that we needed to use for the entire day. And Kyle came on set, and I think we actually used it in one episode, and he dropped the entire thing of Timbits, and it just went from there. So it's little like quirky moments like that. We loved it for the Rundown, because we would use it, and that's the side of the team that we would love to share with fans, because that's a side that you don't see when they're on court, right? It's a more of a serious kind of time. There's this one event called Rap City Social for the MLSU Foundation, and of course you know. And it's rookie initiation every time, so it's usually like karaoke that Kyle leads, and that's always pretty funny too. I think it's online, this one that they did from Tampa this year too. Again, everything's been virtual, so check out some of those things. But yeah, I mean, there's always laughs, which is nice too. So
yeah, I like that about our team, how we have things like the Rundown, like you said, and like open gym, because a lot of teams don't have that, where you're able to see the players on a more deeper level, more personal level. So I really enjoy that with this team. Yeah,
I mean, I love being able to like bring that to the fan base as well. Yeah, and I mean, yeah, let's laugh, and they're all just like us anyways, besides being extremely better basketball players.
So you've worked with the team for many years, and you've accomplished a lot of great things since working for them. What's your absolute favorite memory from your time with the organization?
Ooh, this one's so difficult. This one's so very difficult. I think a big moment for me was when we hosted All-Star in Toronto. It was a big moment for me personally, being able to host events at that caliber that I was watching, you know, from home on my couch for years and years and years, being like, wow, like being so in awe. So personally, that's why you know, it was important to me, and it was important to me as a city too. The first time that the All-Star game, you know, came up north to Toronto, and yeah, it was just a huge moment for the country, for the organization, and yeah, for myself as well. Just being on that stage with the names that were on there, and being able to do, like, I mean, Saturday night, that was the one that you watched for, you know, that was the one that was like, wow. So, and I was able to actually. Yeah, and I was able to actually continue doing that for a few years, and you know, hosting in New Orleans and LA and Charlotte. So that's been yeah, definitely a big part of my journey with the Raptors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so just moving into some questions more about women in sport media. I was just wondering, as you were growing up, was there ever a certain female role model in your life or a celebrity that you looked up to who inspired you?
Martine Geyer. Do you know Martine?
No.
She's on the desk, and she used to work for the Weather Network. And I remember like getting up in the morning and going into my parents' room and turning on like they're not turning on, but they would have the Weather Network on, right? Like, what's the temperature today? And I was like, wow, like I always admired her. I used to come in like, I was like, I want to do that. And then she transitioned into sports. So I've kind of like followed that journey. Who else? Oh my goodness. I mean, there's so many. So here's how I see it too. I kind of so I come from an acting background too. So actresses like Liv Tyler and like all the ones that kind of don't do it for the show. They do it for what they're giving back. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So I've always admired people like that. I'm a very private person, as much as it maybe doesn't seem that way with social media, but I believe that there's that fine line, and those are kind of the people that have inspired me, just being a little bit just how they handle the industry.
Yeah. So sports have been wrongly perceived as something manly, I guess you could say, and while we're seeing more representation of women playing and working in sports, the truth is it's still a male dominated industry. So I'm wondering, what do you believe needs to be done in terms of society's outlook on women in sports, whether it's in the media or playing sports? And what do you think helps destroy stereotypes that sports are just a man's thing?
Yeah, I do believe it's changing, to be honest. I really do. And then I think it's more doing things like what you're doing, putting yourself out there. It's so wonderful that we do have this virtual world where you can start before you're even going to media school, and you're so good at what you do already. So I'm so thrilled that you're following your path. I do think things are changing, but it's just, putting the face and the voice out there, and there's just some beautiful platforms right now. Like, I don't know if you know The Gist. It's a female-run. It's a female-run sports platform. I mean, even games like the one we had with the first all-female broadcast, that the Raptors did, with some great personalities on that. I thought it was so well done, and it's and it's also having these companies like being willing to put the women's voice out there as well. Again, I really do feel like it's shifting. I was very supported in my journey with the men around me, believing in what I had to offer and allowing me exposure and to work on my craft in front of the camera, which was something special as well. But yes, I do believe it's changing, and it's just doing exactly what you're doing here, just getting the voice out there, and yeah, it's exciting to me. It feels different. It feels very different now than it did even 2 years ago. So, and I think that's part of the pandemic too. We're being shown all these things we need to work on, and I mean, I don't think it's just women that need to be,
it's definitely on.
There has to be more of in the sports world. It's all. The LGBTQ community, and so on. So yeah, more.
So you kind of answered my next question, but I was going to say, as a woman in this industry specifically, you tend to have to jump over extra hurdles or face criticisms about your work that maybe you wouldn't hear if you were a man. So I was going to ask, was there ever a time in your journey that you experienced any discrimination?
Yeah. I think looking back now, I wonder if it was more me putting it on myself than what I was actually walking through at the time. Again, I came from dancing on the Raptors dance pack, where and in my transition years into television, I would come off court in a crop top and shorts, because that was our uniform, which held stereotypes of its own. I do recognize that and tried to kind of change that in my time with the team as well. And then I would put on like a blazer and go do the pregame show, like, on NBA TV Canada. And I don't know if the judgment was something that I put on my own shoulders, like, oh, okay, you need to be like the respect transition, like, okay, they're looking at you at a crop top and now you're putting on that blazer. Does that make sense? Yeah. I don't know if it was, now I think I put more of that pressure on myself and judgment on myself than maybe others did. I think discrimination wise, I mean, I had a little bit of a hard time when it was dance pack days. Not hard time, but I think it comes, I don't want to say I think it comes, unfortunately it comes with the gig, you know, you know, I don't even have to talk about the stereotypes in the professional dance world. And oh gosh, I can't wait for that to change too. I think it's taken a little bit more time. We have an awesome team now. It's actually a mixed team of dancers, and you know, things are changing. But yeah, I think that's when I felt it the most, if that makes sense.
Yeah, of course it does. Yeah. So I've been watching the Raptors for as long as I can remember. Seeing you on TV, meeting you at games, it's always been very special to me. Being able to see women represented in sports media always gave me that extra motivation and made me feel like, hey, maybe I can do this someday. And I never really saw it as a career path until I saw you, really, like, specifically for the Raptors. How important do you think the representation of women in sports and sports media is, not only for the girls that may be watching, but for young boys as well?
Women in this, I think we bring a little bit of a different, you know, approach to not only life, but just like everything, right? Sorry, I should say not only sports, but I'm trying to think of what exactly, like, what do you think we bring? Is it the vulnerability? Is it that part of it? Is it the emotional elements where stories can be told differently and, you know, it's okay? I think that's such a great question and something I'm going to write about. I sit down and write about those things when it hits me that way, just to continue learning and to continue growing in the field as well. But I mean, yeah, I guess it goes back to that. Everybody brings something special, right? And yeah, absolutely. I think it's very important.
Yeah, I agree. Especially with like the broadcast and everything. It was just, it was so amazing to hear different voices for once. And I just felt like, not only just with the emotional side of things, but they brought just a different side of the game. Like, I feel like they were just so knowledgeable about everything, and it was great for once to have a little bit of a change. Yeah. Oh
my gosh, I know. I was at home cheering them on for sure. Yeah, it was extremely special, and I hope there's more. I hope that's not the last. You know, we've seen that. Like, we've seen that all female kind of approach in a few leagues now, which is so very exciting. Yeah, it has nothing. That's the thing. It has to do like who's you know, best for the position too. So yeah, and I think you can find that way.
Is there anything maybe you would want young girls to know that are seeing you on TV, or is there a specific message maybe you want to let them know?
Yeah, I think I've mentioned it a few times, and it's just like, you know, trust in your unique qualities and you know, your true self. That's what should be seen on the screen, and your voice is the one that should be heard, and you know, find that kind of team around you that believes in it too, and you know, allow them to help you push yourself when you need it. But yeah, no, it's just carrying that with you, and yeah. It is hard work. That's the thing. Like, I often get sometimes, you know, questions like, how do you get there? And I really feel like I didn't feel like, okay, I feel established now. It took me about like 10 years in the industry. So I'm just putting that out there, not to scare people, but it's the truth, you know? Yeah. I mean, everybody has their time, but it takes time. And like I said at the beginning of this podcast, don't stop learning, like, keep challenging yourself. You know, there's always somebody better than you. That's what I kind of have in the back of my head. And I mean, you choose what you want to do with that little push, but I really believe that with all those qualities, everybody can do it. Yeah. Yeah. Be that something different. That's so exciting.
I love
it's
that
so
about
exciting.
you.
Yeah,
I
that's
can't say that enough times.
Thank you. Thank you. It's so refreshing to see that, right? Like we're seeing all this, like the different, like come out, like, oh, I would never have thought that they would be hosting this, but it's wonderful.
And
yeah,
it's great.
It's
like
just,
people like yourselves, it just inspires more people to be themselves as well. Because
that's what we all need to be. Yeah, that's what we all need. So.
So you kind of answered my other question, but I was going to ask you, how do you feel having an impact on girls this way?
Oh, I mean, that's why I do what I do. Like, I mean, I enjoy what I do. I have a passion for sports. I have a passion for performing. But, and as I get older, I think that's shifted even more to the direction of just like inspiring kind of the next generation, you know, to make their dreams come true too. So I always say, like, reach out to me on Instagram. Like, I love having conversations like this. I often have conversations with industry hopefuls or just anybody. And that's definitely a part of my path. So it's really, really awesome to hear from you that you recognize that too. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. I know throughout this whole episode, you've said amazing advice, and you've been very kind to share that with us. But my last question was, given that one day I want to succeed like you and maybe work in a position like yours with the team, is there any advice that you would give to me specifically as a student going into sport media in the fall?
Yeah, like all the advice I already did, but I also believe that you're doing this part of it that I want to give right now, and, you know, creating a podcast before you're in the industry and really using the online platforms to make a name for yourself and you know, networking and where you're so very lucky. Like when I started, like I didn't have the option to put out my demo or my podcast on, like, you know, like it was literally like walking into an audition and handing them like my paper resume, right? And like crossing their fingers they'd listen to me for more than 10 seconds. Like, so just like keep putting yourself out there. Like I know I book gigs just from whatever's out there on the internet right now. So I just keep doing that and like network, reach out to people. You'd be surprised at who is willing to you know, have a conversation like this and take the 10 minutes, because there was somebody there for them too. So yeah, just keep doing it. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So I just wanted to thank you again for speaking with me, and for everyone listening and sharing everything about you and allowing us to learn more about you and your experiences. I appreciate you. Our audience appreciates you. Canada loves you. The Raptors fans loves you.
You're very sweet.
Thank you so much.
You're very sweet. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Thank you for having me. And you're going to do big things. So let me keep me up to date on what's coming up, and if you need any assistance. So yeah, we'll keep in touch.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to Raptor Nation Podcast. Don't forget to follow on all social media at Raptor Nation Pod.